The World is Too Much with Us by William Wordsworth.
At the time of writing, the Industrial Revolution was a concerning subject for Wordsworth. Trains and factories were cutting their way through the forests and world. Britain, an island once full of nature, beauty, forests, rolling green pastures, had been turned into an industrial power of the world. Forests were cut down and burned to make room for factories, mines, and railroads. With a full cultural shift from farming and cottage industries to factories and mass-produced goods, smog began to fill the air, and life in England, at least in Wordsworth's mind, had fallen from its noble Druidic roots to a depraved and materialistic modernity. Hence his affirmations about preferring paganism to the modern world of England, affirming his love of nature and hopes to go back to nature.
The world is too much with us, late and soon. Getting and spending we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon, the sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours, and are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. It moves us not, great God, I'd rather be a pagan suckled in a creed outworn. So might I, standing on this pleasant lea, have glimpse that would make me less forlorn, have sight of Proteus rising from the sea, or hear old Triton blow his wreathed horn.
Wordsworth's poem basically elaborated on his views towards modern-day materialism. He started the poem by saying, "The world is too much with us. Late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers." The article, Poetry for Students, confirms that lines 1 and 2 basically speaks about the writer complaining about the world of materialism and that people spend too much time being consumers. In lines 3 and 4, Wordsworth shed a little more light on what he means, which is that they have lost their valuable relationship with nature in exchange for far less valuable goods of the material world. In lines 5 through 8, the poet further talks about the loss of connection with nature and mentions what all of the assets of nature people were missing out on, such as the sea and the winds. He further goes on to say that the winds that will be howling at all hours and are up gathering now like sleeping flowers, which according to Poetry by Students means that the winds, as the poet writes, are quiet, as if they are asleep. Additionally, in line 8, he speaks about how people have subsequently lost their glorious contact with nature. In line 9, Wordsworth talks about how the simplistic aspects of nature doesn't excite people anymore, and he would prefer to go back to living in a pagan world where he would be plagued with materialism and possibly be forced to reconnect with nature. In the last 2 lines of the poem, the poet speaks of the 2 Greek gods, Triton and Proteus, associated with the sea, which is part of nature that the writer wished everyone would reconnect to.
William Wordsworth was born April 7, 1770 at Cockermouth in Cumbria. It's a very northwestern area in England. He was the second born out of a family with a total of 5 children. His father was a lawyer. However, both of Wordsworth's parents died before he was 15. He and his 4 siblings were left in the care of different relatives. Wordsworth developed a love of nature as a young man, and this is a theme which can be seen in many of his poems. While touring France and Switzerland, he became an enthusiast for the ideals of the French Revolution. Wordsworth had studied at Cambridge University, but later in his life, Durham University granted him with an honorary Doctor of Civil Law degree, and Oxford had conferred the same honor 1 year after. He died on April 23, 1850, and Wordsworth's greatest and much revised autobiographical poem, The Prelude, which had been worked on since 1798, was published by his wife after his death.
The poem is a love letter to nature and the past, and a caution about the future. Wordsworth had hoped to warn against the materialistic nature of time, calling for a return to nature and antiquity.